How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, December 3rd, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I am going to preview the round of 16 for the 2022 FIFA World Cup Finals. Now that the group stage is done, I am going to preview the 8 matchups that are to come, and once the round of 16 is done, I will get to the quarterfinals and the semifinals and basically so on and so forth. The great thing about this round is now that it is knockout stages, we will go to penalty kick shootouts if necessary, if games aren't settled by the end of overtime or by the end of extra time, which is why I think that this is probably going to be the most impressive, the most interesting, and the most contentious 2 weeks of soccer all year. With that said, I'm going to look at all 8 of the matchups that are going to be coming up over the next 4 days and looking at them one by one, and of course by previewing them, I'm going to review how every team got here. Looking at the very first matchup that is going to be set in this round of 16, it'll be between the Netherlands and the United States. The Netherlands would finish at the very top of Group A with 7 points. Their 3 group stage matchups would see them beat Senegal 2-0. It would see them, in their first game, beat them off Cody Gakpo and Davy Klaasen's 84th and 99th minute goals. The Netherlands would end up drawing with Ecuador in their second matchup, with Cody Gakpo scoring their lone goal in that matchup. They would end up beating the host nation Qatar in their third matchup, with their first goal coming from Cody Gakpo and Frankie de Jong scoring in the second half. Cody Gakpo would be one of 2 people in the entire World Cup, the other one being Alvaro Morata, to score in all 3 of their group stage matchups, and they are getting ready to face off against the United States. The U.S. would finish second in Group B after they would end up drawing against Wales and England. Their first matchup would see them draw 1-1 with Wales, their lone goal coming from Timothy Weah, son of Liberian President George Weah. Their second matchup would see the United States draw 0-0 with England, and the U.S.'s third matchup would see them beat Iran 1-0. Their lone goal will come off of a 38th minute goal from Christian Pulisic. Of course, the winner of the USA and the Netherlands will be the first team to go through, but of course, that is a very impressive matchup to go through, and if I were to guess, I would probably think the Netherlands are going to go through, but I would not put it past the United States. The second matchup that will be played in the round of 16 will be today at 2 o'clock between Argentina and Australia. Argentina would make it into this group after finishing at the top of Group C with 6 points. Their 3 match days would see them first lose to Saudi Arabia 2-1. In that first matchup, Leo Messi would score a penalty kick before Saudi Arabia would score 2 goals in rapid succession. That would earn their entire team a round of Rolls Royces. Argentina's second match day would see them beat Mexico 2-0 with goals from Lionel Messi and Enzo Fernandez. Their third matchup would see them beat Poland 2-0 with 2 goals from Alexis McAllister and Julian Alvarez to force their way into the round of 16. Looking at how Australia would make it here, Australia would finish second in Group D with 6 points in the group. They would lose their very first matchup to France. After Craig Goodwin scored the first goal of that matchup, France would score 4 unanswered basically to take full advantage of that game. Australia's second matchup would see them beat Tunisia 1-0 off of Mitchell Duke's 23rd minute goal. Australia's third match day would see them beat Denmark 1-0 off of Matthew Leckie's 60th goal. So that is how Australia would take advantage, and that is how they are preparing for Argentina today. Looking at the first matchup that's taking place tomorrow on Sunday, December 4th, it will be between France, the winners of Group D, and Poland, the runners-up of Group C. France would finish with 6 points in the group stage. They would win their first matchup against Australia, seeing goals from Adrien Rabiot. They would see a brace from their striker, Olivier Giroud, and they would see a goal from their elite forward, Kylian Mbappe. France's second matchup would see them beat Denmark 2-1 with the second half brace from their elite forward, Kylian Mbappe, their second of which to break the tie. France's third matchup of the group stage would see them lose 1-0 to Tunisia off of Wabi Khazri's 58th minute goal. However, they would still finish top of the group. Looking at how Poland would make it here as runners-up of Group C, they would go on and finish the group with 4 points. They drew 0-0 with Mexico. They would beat Saudi Arabia 2-0 with goals from Piotr Zielinski and Robert Lewandowski. And then Poland would lose their third match day to Argentina. However, they would still make it in. So that is how Poland is going to be facing off against France. The fourth matchup of the round of 16 and the second matchup taking place tomorrow will be between England, the team that would finish at the top of Group B, and Senegal, the runners-up of Group A. England would finish at the top of Group B with 7 points after they initially beat Iran 6-2. In that matchup, they would see Jude Bellingham score. They would see Bukayo Saka score a brace. They would score Raheem Sterling score his goal in between Bukayo Saka's 2 goals. They would see Marcus Rashford and Jack Grealish all score in that first game as well. England's second matchup would be a 0-0 draw with the United States before they would beat Wales 3-0. In that Wales win, they would see an 18-minute brace from Marcus Rashford, as just 1 minute after Rashford's first goal, England would see a goal from Phil Foden, who plays for Manchester City right across the city. So, of course, that's how England made it in. Looking at how Senegal would make it to this round, they would finish with 6 points in Group A. Their first matchup would initially see them lose 2-0 to the Netherlands. They would then go on and beat the host nation Qatar 3-1 off of Boulaye Dia, Famara Diédhiou, and Bamba Dieng's trio of goals. Their third matchup with their backs against the wall would see Senegal beat Ecuador 2-1. Ismaila Sarr would score Senegal's first goal off of a penalty going into the half. After Ecuador would tie it up in the 67th minute off of Moises Caicedo's goal, Senegal's elite defender Kalidou Koulibaly would score in the 70th minute to earn Senegal's ticket into the round of 16. So, of course, that will be the fourth matchup to determine who will go on to the quarterfinal round. But going on to the third day of matchups on Monday, December 5th, the first matchup on that day will be between Japan and Croatia after Japan won Group E. Japan would finish with 6 points in the group after winning their first matchup against Germany. After Germany scored the first goal of that matchup, Japan would score 2 goals in the second half from Ritsu Doan and Takuma Asano. Japan's second matchup would see them lose 1-0 to Costa Rica before Japan would beat Spain in their third matchup. Ritsu Doan would tie the game up at 1 in the first half after Alvaro Morata would score in Spain's third game of the group stage. And then Ao Tanaka's 51st minute goal would be what Japan needed to earn themselves a spot in the round of 16. And then, of course, their opponents, Croatia, would finish as runners-up in Group F with 5 points. They still have yet to lose in this tournament. They would end up drawing first with Morocco in the first matchup. They would score all their goals in Group F, where they beat Canada 4-1. After Canada scored the first goal of that matchup, Croatia would see their first goal come from Andre Kramaric in the 36th minute. Marko Livaja would score in the 44th minute to make it a 2-1 game. Andre Kramaric would score in the 70th minute to make it 3-1 and to secure his brace against Canada before Lovro Mayer's 94th minute goal would secure the win for Croatia. So, of course, that is how Croatia would go into their last matchup. And by drawing with Belgium, they would secure themselves in over Belgium. And then looking at the sixth matchup of the round of 16, it'll be between Brazil, the winners of Group G, and South Korea, the runners-up of Group H. Brazil would finish with 6 points in their group after they would initially beat Serbia 2-0 off of an 11-minute brace in the second half from Richarlison, their striker who plays for Tottenham Hotspur. Brazil's second matchup would see them beat Switzerland 1-0, as their lone goal would come from their midfielder Casemiro, who now plays for Manchester United. Brazil's third matchup of the group would see them lose 1-0 to Cameroon off of Vincent Abubakar's 92nd minute goal, as that is how their group stage would end. South Korea would finish second in Group H with 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss. They would initially draw 0-0 with Uruguay. They would end up losing their second matchup to Ghana, as they would see a 4-minute brace from Chokwe Sung to tie the game up at 2 before Mohamed Kudus would give Ghana the eventual win. South Korea would win their third matchup against Portugal 2-1 with their backs against the wall. After Portugal's Ricardo Horta scored in the 5th minute, South Korea's Kim Yong-gwan would score in the 27th minute, and then Hwang Hee-chan's 91st minute goal would be what South Korea needed to get the advantage and win over Portugal to go into the next round. And then looking at the very last day of matchups in this round of 16, Tuesday's very first matchup will take place between Morocco and Spain. Morocco would be the winners of Group F, and Spain would be the runners-up of Group E. Morocco would finish with 7 points in their group, being the first team from Africa this century to win their group in the group stage. Morocco would go on and draw with Croatia first in their first matchup. They would beat Belgium 2-0 with goals in the second half from Romain Saiss and Zakaria Abouklal. Their third matchup would see them beat Canada 2-1. After Hakim Ziyech would score in the 4th minute, Youssef En-Nesyri would score in the 23rd minute, as Canada's lone goal would end up being a Moroccan own goal itself. Morocco was able to hold off and is going to face off against the Spanish team that would finish runners-up in Group E with 4 points. Their very first matchup would be their win as they beat Costa Rica 7-0. They would see goals come from Dani Olmo and Marco Asensio and Ferran Torres before the first half ended. Ferran Torres would complete his brace in the second half, scoring Spain's 4th goal as well. Gavi would score their 5th, Carlos Soler would score their 6th, and Alvaro Morata would score their 7th. Their second matchup would see them draw with Germany 1-1, as their lone goal came from Alvaro Morata in the 62nd minute before Germany tied it up in the 83rd minute. Spain would lose their last matchup against Japan. The first goal of the game was scored by Alvaro Morata, as Morata would be the second player other than the Dutch Cody Gakpo who would score a goal in all 3 of his group stage matches. So, of course, the winner of this matchup will go on to the quarterfinal round. And then looking at the last round of 16 match, that'll take place on Tuesday. It'll be at 2 o'clock between Portugal and Switzerland. Portugal would go on and finish at the top of Group H with 6 points. In their group stage, they would end up beating Ghana in the first round. Their first goal would come off of a penalty kick goal from Cristiano Ronaldo. After Ghana would tie it up at 1, they would see their 78th minute goal come from Joao Felix, and their 80th minute goal come from Rafael Leao. Ghana's 89th minute goal would come from Osman Bukhari, as of course he would give them their last goal, but it wouldn't be enough. Portugal's second matchup would see them shut Uruguay out 2-0. Their 2 goals in that game would come from Bruno Fernandes, their elite center attacking mid, as his second goal would be a penalty kick goal in the 93rd minute. Portugal's third and final game would be against South Korea, as with their lone goal will come from Ricardo Horta in the 5th minute. South Korea would end up tying it in the 27th minute and taking the lead in extra time in the second half to earn their way into the round of 16. However, with this loss, Portugal is still fighting very strong. And of course, the winner between Portugal and Switzerland will go on. And those are the matchups that are to be played. And if I were to guess what teams are going through at the very end, I think the Netherlands will beat the United States. If I had to guess, I think Argentina is going to beat Australia. I think France is going to beat Poland. I think that England is going to beat Senegal. I think that Japan is going to beat Croatia. I think Brazil is going to beat South Korea. I think Spain is going to beat Morocco, and I think Portugal is going to beat Switzerland. But of course, I have no idea how it's going to play out. But with that said, I hope all is well, and I can't wait to get caught up for the quarterfinal round. And if you're watching this from TikTok, I want to thank you all for watching this for this first caught up episode. But for that said, I want to thank everyone for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and peace. Thank you for listening to The Elite. I'm James Sims, and this is my project, and I'll catch you with more. Thanks for listening. Peace out.